Right. Welcome, everyone, to another episode of Level Up Law, where every Tuesday at noon, South Carolina Legal Services is leveling up your legal knowledge about an area of law that we practice in. My name is Nicole Jackson, and I'm a VOCA staff attorney in the Columbia office. And today I'm going to be live reacting to one of our YouTube videos about orders of protection hearings without an attorney. So let's get into it. So typically there's not going to be a lot of people in an order protection courtroom, just a judge, a bailiff, and a court reporter, and of course the parties. This is important. When you get to the courthouse, you want to make sure you have everything that you need ready, printed, ready to go. You're going to want to hand the originals to the judge and copies to either the opposing party, they have an attorney, and one for yourself for reference.
You may be seated.
This is also really important. Make sure you stand when you enter the courtroom and stay standing until the judge tells you it's okay to sit down. Not only is that a sign of respect for the judge, it's also a court rule. And when you're representing yourself or being a pro se person, you're going to want to be following the court's rules.
We're here today for an order of protection, case number 2025-6298. Are you Mrs. Steele?
Yes, ma'am.
And are you Mr. Steele?
Yes, ma'am.
If you will, please stand for me and raise your right hands. I'm going to swear you in before I hear any testimony. Do you swear or affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
I do.
Thank you. Mrs. Steele, you filed for an order of protection.
Focus on the violence and the fear you had when telling the judge why you need order of protection. That's absolutely true. These hearings are short and they're right to the point.
Tell me why you need that.
Well, Your Honor, it was a Saturday and Billy was drunk. He had been drinking all day and he started getting irritated and angry at every little thing. He started accusing me of stuff.
That's right.
And he was just...
Don't get distracted if the other party is making hand movements, shaking their head, or even talking. Just focus on what you need to tell the judge and let them make a fool of themselves. The judge will see it.
upset. He threw a lamp against the wall, and then he grabbed me and slammed me up against the wall, and he put his hands around my neck and squeezed me really hard. I was choking. He's a lot bigger than me, and I couldn't get away. But then the baby started crying, and he loosened his grip, and I was able to use that time to dial 911 and call the police.
That's great. That's a great outline of what happened, details about the physical violence that occurred, and you'll see she has notes. That's perfectly fine. If I recommend people bring notes into hearings. I bring notes into hearings and I'm an attorney. You want to make sure that everything you want to tell the judge comes out of your mouth. And if you have a little checklist, bullet points, just some notes on what you want to make sure you say, that's a great idea.
Any charges filed against Mr. Steele?
Yes.
Other one. Yes. Look up the charges on the public index. You can find this by going to secourts.gov, going to record search, and then going to the county where the incident happened. You can print them out and you can use those as evidence.
Yes. DV second charge.
Mr. Steele, do you have a pending DV second charge?
Yeah, but it's all a lie.
Should be.
All right. You'll get your chance to tell me your side of the story later, and also question any witnesses that Mrs. Steele may call.
That's right. Each party gets their own chance to talk. So if he starts talking about kind of the merits of the case, what his side of the story is, the judge is going to cut him off while it's still the petitioner's side. They're not going to let him just go off on his own tangent quite yet. The petitioner needs to get through all of hers, and then they'll go to the defendant.
You may proceed.
I have bruises around my neck from Billy's hands, and I actually have pictures of them here.
All right. If you'll please hand those pictures to the bailiff for me.
They'll usually tell you to hand them to the bailiff, but ask
Mr. Steele, if you'll hand those to the bailiff, and the bailiff will give those to you as well.
Make sure you have enough copies for everybody, so everybody gets their own.
Mr. Steele, did all of this take place in Lawrence County?
It did.
Mrs. Steele, do you have any questions that you would like to ask Mrs. Steele?
I'm gonna hop in. This judge is asking a good bit of questions from our petitioner here. Sometimes they don't. Sometimes they just say, I'll hear from you. Again, that's another good reason why you want to have everything organized, have your notes in front of you, because they'll just leave it up to you to talk about what happened and why you're afraid and why you need an order of protection. This judge is asking a few questions, which is really helpful, but not all judges do that.
Remember, this is the only time for questions. If you want to testify later, you'll get that time, but right now it's just the time for questions.
Be prepared for the other side to ask you questions. They're going to be able to have that opportunity. It's just how the court system is set up, even if you feel like it's not super fair. But answer the question in as short sentences as you can. This isn't the time for back and forth. Answer it truthfully, answer it clearly. You may be able to ask the judge to clarify something if you feel like they were trying to trip you up.
Yeah, I got a few. You were drunk that day, weren't you?
We got another graphic. Defendant should be respectful when they ask questions, but we all know sometimes that doesn't happen. Just be respectful when you answer the question so the judge can see it.
I had a couple of beers, but I remember everything.
Yeah, you know you were drunk. Your memory is clear.
Mr. Steele.
Aggressive,
once
but
again,
accurate.
This is only a time for you to ask Mrs. Steele questions. You will get your time to testify later.
Yes, Your
Exactly.
Honor,
You
I'm
can
sorry.
tell the judge is getting frustrated.
Isn't it true you were hitting on my buddy Tony that night?
No, it's not true. They tend to accuse me of things like this whenever you're drunk.
That's right. Short answers.
Is
Only
that all
answer
for
the
questions?
question.
Yes, Your Honor.
Mrs. Steele, do you have any more witnesses?
Yes, I would like to call as a witness my neighbor, Maria Sanchez.
Perfect. Bring witnesses who saw what happened, saw you after the fact. Witnesses help keep your side of the story as
Swear or affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, and
truthful as
nothing but the
possible.
truth? Yes, I do. You may be seated. You'll introduce yourself and glad to hear anything you have to tell me.
Okay, my name is Maria Sanchez, and I'm the Steele's neighbors, and on the night that Jamie's talking about, it was pretty late, and I heard some loud knocking at my door, and the doorbell rang, and the knocking was real frantic, and as I got closer to the door, I heard somebody yelling, help, help, let me in.
This is a great witness. She has a lot of information. We got another graphic. Witnesses should be someone who saw the abuse happen or injuries right after. Exactly. They can testify to what they saw, what they know, because it needs to be personal knowledge. It can't just be someone you told about it. I mean, if they saw you or heard that you were very upset, that could help, but it's not going to be quite as strong.
And I realized it was Jamie, so I opened the door and she was crying and upset and just gasping for air, and she looked really disheveled or roughed up. And she told me what Billy had done to her, so I called the police right away, and they came.
This is important. You'll hear that her witness said that Jamie told me what her husband had done to her, but she doesn't repeat what that is. You can't tell the court something that someone else told you. That's hearsay. It's a whole thing, but you want to just keep focused on what you saw, what you perceived, and what you did after as a witness.
And they asked if they could talk to Jamie at my house, and I was like, yeah, that's fine, whatever they need to do, and then they left.
Anything else?
No, I think that's it.
Mrs. Steele, do you have any questions for this witness?
That's pretty good. The first question is either going to come from you or the judge, and it's just going to be open-ended. What did you see? Why are you here to corroborate her testimony? Then, as the petitioner, she's going to be able to ask a few questions of her witness, maybe something specific that maybe got left out during her long answer. And then, of course, our defendant's also going to have a shot at questions as well.
No, Your Honor.
Mr.
But she
Steele,
did a good
would you
job,
like
so we
to
don't need to
cross
ask her any
examine,
questions.
Yeah, thank you. Isn't it true we've gotten along well as neighbors in the past?
Yeah, that's true.
Wasn't Jamie pretty drunk whenever she came over that night?
No, I wouldn't say that, I mean.
He's putting words in her
But she's
mouth.
always
The
gone
witness is
Saturday,
staying
right?
strong with her
I
story.
wouldn't say that either.
Any other questions for this witness, Mr. Steele?
No, ma'am.
Ms. Sanchez, you may return back to your seat. Thank you.
And that's it. That's all your witness does. Again, real short,
Any
real
other
to the point.
witnesses?
Yes, I would like to call the witness, Officer Smith.
We got another witness and another graphic. It is rare to be able to call an officer into court. It's interesting that she has this ability, but we want to show that it can be done. But if you want an officer to come testify as someone who was at the scene, we're gonna need to
Smith
get
was
him
there on
contact
the day
well
of the
ahead of time.
incident and also took pictures.
Officer Smith, if you'll please come up to the witness stand.
Now, they're not gonna know as much, but they're gonna be there
Please
on the
raise your right
scene.
hand for me.
They're gonna be able to
Do you
testify within
swear
their
or
report.
affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? You may be seated. If you'll please introduce yourself, and I'm glad to hear any testimony from you.
Thank you. I'm Officer Smith of the Orange County Sheriff's Department. I was dispatched on the night of the incident at Steele's home. I talked with Mrs. Steele at
Very
Mrs.
factual,
Sanchez's
so-
house. That's her neighbor's house. I could tell she was upset. I could tell she had been crying. And like normal procedure, I took down an incident report and I took some photos.
Straight to the
Anything
point.
else?
No, Your Honor.
Any questions for this witness?
No, Your Honor.
Mr. Steele, do you have
That's
any
true.
questions for this witness?
I'll pause it here. If she had some injuries that were visible and the officer had taken photos of those injuries and they had shown up on those photos, she should point that out and ask more specifically to the officer. Unfortunately, sometimes that doesn't happen where you get injuries that are real clear, especially at the time. So just having him come, get to the point, this is what happened, this is what I saw, this is what I perceived. That's pretty good.
Yeah, I do. Thank you.
This
Did
guy.
you see any bruises on her neck that night that you took those pictures? At that time, no. No further questions. Thank you.
Officer Smith, you may return to your seat. Thank you so much. Okay.
That's definitely how
Any
I
other
would take.
witnesses from you, Mrs. Steele?
No, Your Honor.
Mrs. Steele, would you like?
So I'm gonna pause it again. Even though she has no more witnesses, what I would recommend is for our petitioner here, say, I don't have any further witnesses, but just go ahead, give a quick reminder to the court that you're in fear of whoever is on the other side, you want an order of protection, and that you need it from the court. Just a little summary to close up your side of the case. Now it's gonna be the defendant's turn.
Testify, you have a right to do so, or call any other witnesses. But since you are facing pending criminal charges, you may want to discuss this with your criminal defense attorney first.
They do that a lot. If there's criminal charges pending, the judge will very often remind them of their Fifth Amendment rights, because there is that overlap in our court system. This is under oath. This is being, taken down as a court record. So if they don't want to get in additional trouble for their criminal proceedings by admitting anything, they don't have to testify.
I'm sure she's lying. I know she made up those photos. She and her sister used some makeup or something, doctored them all. She just wants to leave me, and this is her best excuse of doing so.
Mrs. Steele, can you explain to the court how you got those photos?
Sure. Well, my sister took the photo. We went through the phone together. I saw
It is
her
good to have
email
a
them to
person
the
take them
store,
with
and
you,
then I picked them
if
up from the
possible.
store and I brought them here.
Anything else, Mr. Steele?
Yes, Your Honor. I don't think I should have to pay child support. I already support my children. I always
This
take
is
good
not
care of them.
before
There's
the
no
court.
sense in me having to be forced to pay.
It might be before the court. In the order of protection petitions, there are sections for custody, child support, spousal support, property. They're going to be on a temporary basis, of course. Typically, the court doesn't want to get too far into it, so we'll see if the judge pushes that to the side today.
Child support, I'm already paying it.
I'm very glad to hear that. Mrs. Steele, do you have any questions, for Mr. Steele?
Yes, sir. Billy, this isn't the first time you put your hands on me, is it?
Oh, you know I never put my hands on you.
Oh, getting
Calm
hot.
down.
That's accurate for family court. If it gets hot, just take a breath, because you don't want the judge to get mad at both of you. Keep it on the other side.
Mr. Steele. Based on the evidence presented to me today, including testimony from all witnesses.
Oh, we got a graphic. Once the judge started their ruling, remain quiet. You can ask for clarification. Absolutely true. The judge is going to issue her ruling right there. She's also probably going to have a bench order. So if it's granted, that's not quite right. So I'm going to pause here. The legal standard in this graphic isn't quite right. And I know that we're working on fixing it. But the legal standard to be granted an order of protection is a preponderance of the evidence. That means it just has to be more likely than not that the abuse happened. You do have to remind the judge that you are afraid of this person, because if you go in and say, yeah, it happened, but I'm not afraid of them, probably not going to be granted. But we are working on fixing this graphic.
I find that Ms. Steele's testimony is credible and it meets the burden required for me to bring order of
That's what I'm talking about.
protection.
They don't always address it.
However, I'm not going to address the issue of child support, the marital home, or custody due to the parties being married. One of the parties can file a private action in the family court.
That's right. That happens all the time. If you have a lot of other issues that are outside the issues of abuse, the judge is going to kick that right down the road and say, listen, y'all have to come back for either separate support maintenance or divorce action to get all that stuff dealt with on a more final basis. This is really this emergency type situation.
For these issues to be addressed, if you will both please wait outside, the bailiff will bring you a copy of the order.
That's right. The judge is going to make an order. She has it right at her bench. She's going to fill in everything, put in her ruling. They'll make copies and they'll give one to each of you. Don't leave until you receive it. Also, the deputies will walk out with you, especially in an instance like this where it's so hot and feeling a little unprotected. There's deputies in the hallway. They will always be out there to keep you safe. We got a lot here. Let's take a look. All right. The plaintiff remained calm and collected throughout the hearing. This is helpful. It shows that she's come prepared. Absolutely. When you're the plaintiff or the petitioner, you want to remain calm, keep a level head, even though it's sometimes tough. The defendant was defensive and responded with hostility in most of his answers. That's exactly right. Not only does that show disrespect for the court, it also kind of helps your case. It shows the judge that he is aggressive and is more likely than not probably have done the abuse that you are telling the judge. The defendant also responded with many movements and negative comments. This can all be distracting and lead to trouble with the judge. Absolutely. Judges want you to be respectful of their time, of their courtroom, and of their procedure. If the defendant's not doing that, I mean, it just makes them look worse. And if you remain calm and collected, you look better. And being prepared with helpful questions and evidence is important to build your case. Absolutely. You want to make sure that you have everything that you want to talk about printed, ready to be handed up to the judge, that you'll never see it again. You can't keep it on your phone if it's a screenshot of a text message or a photo on your phone, because they need to be able to keep it, put it in the court's file. Questions shouldn't be designed to lead witnesses to a particular answer, but should be asked when the answer will help your case. So again, you saw that there's a lot of open-ended kind of testimony questions. Why are we here today? What did you see? You can kind of hone in a little bit if your witness isn't quite getting into something specific that you want, but you want it to be as open-ended as possible. Let's see. They're probably going to give us a few minutes. But this is great. This is super helpful. All really good information. I think this might be the end. Yep, it sure is. All right, well, that's our video. I think that they did a great job. It really shows what to expect when you walk into a courtroom and you're not represented by an attorney. It can be intimidating, but this gives a great example of what to expect. And I always find if you're more prepared, if you know what to expect, what it looks like, where to stand, you'll have a lot more success. Thanks for watching.